I understand that Senior Superintendent Steve McGregor did intervene in the process. And of course I said intervene, not interfere. Based on the discussion I had with the parties involved internally, it would appear that in the first instance they had some issue with identification. So someone reached out to Mr. McGregor and to find out if he could touch base to verify that she's in fact a counselor, because I think part of the initial process that she didn't have an identification and the police officers didn't know who she was. Based on the discussion with Mr. McGregor, he said when he made that initial call, based on what he heard in the background, he felt that as a senior officer to go there to see what was happening. When he went there and heard what was happening, he intervened in the situation, pacified the situation. I understand by then other members of the council would have turned up at the police station. So in order to get things done orderly, so he made some recommendation, ensured that the process went through, and she was charged and offered bail, and that matter was resolved. There is also something that I want to state categorically, because it came up and has been part of the discussion, that it was the Commissioner of Police, Major General Anderson, that asked him to intervene, and I want to categorically state that that is not the case. It is not the practice of Major General to interfere with his officers and the work that they do. He allowed them to carry out their function based on how they make their own assessment. As a matter of fact, at the time when the incident was happening, he was not yet aware. He did not know about it until he was briefed on it the following morning. So I just want to state clearly that the office that he holds doesn't want to convey in any way whatsoever that he's interfering with police officers carrying out their duties. So even if someone had gone there and said it was the commissioner they were acting on behalf of, it would not be a factual statement. It's just unfortunate that, this situation has come up, because we really don't want distraction. We want people to be focused on what is it that we are all trying.
All right, guys, so there you go. The high command of the police force is saying that the police commissioner did not interfere in the arrest of Kari Douglas. All right. And let's just run through this quickly for you. The hierarchy of the Jamaica Constabulary Force, as you heard, has refuted an allegation that Commissioner of Police Major General Anthony Anderson sent a senior cop to intervene in the arrest of Councillor Kari Douglas. Douglas was arrested and charged Tuesday for breaches of the Disaster Risk Management Act and disorderly conduct after being accused of breaching the curfew order implemented in response to the growing COVID-19 crisis in Jamaica. However, police officers at the Constant Spring Police Station claims Senior Superintendent of Police SSP Steve McGregor attempted to intervene in the investigation under what he said were the instructions of Anderson. And as you heard, the clip that we played, it was from Head of the Constabulary Communications Unit, CCU, Senior Superintendent Stephanie Lindsay. She has rubbished those allegations, as you heard in the clip that started this story. It's not the practice of Major General Anderson to interfere with his officers and the work that they do. He allows them to carry out their function based on how they make their own assessment, SSP Lindsay said in an audio clip released by the CCU, which you heard. There's also something that I want to state categorically, because it came up and has been part of the discussions, that it was the Commissioner of Police, Major General Anthony Anderson, that asked him, SSP Steve McGregor, to intervene, and I want to categorically state that that is not the case, said Lindsay. In fact, the CCU had disclosed that the police commissioner only became aware of the incident on Wednesday morning, that's the day after. He did not know about it until he was briefed the following morning. So I just want to state clearly that the office that he, the commissioner, holds doesn't want it conveyed in any way whatsoever that he's interfering with police officers carrying out their duties. So even if someone had gone there saying it was the commissioner they were acting on behalf of, it would not be a factual statement, said SSP Lindsay. Douglas was arrested and charged by members of the Constant Spring Police Station after failing to produce an identification. SSP Lindsay said SSP McGregor had intervened in an attempt seemingly to verify the councillor's identity. I understand that Senior Superintendent Steve McGregor did intervene in the process based on the discussions I had with the parties involved internally. It would appear that in the first instance they had some issue with identification. So someone reached out to Mr. McGregor to find out if he could touch base to verify that she is in fact a councillor, because I think part of the initial problem was that she did not have an identification and the police officers did not know who she was, the CCU head explained. Based on the discussions with McGregor, he said when he made that initial call, based on what he heard in the background, he felt as a senior official to go there to see what was happening. When he went there and heard what was happening, he intervened in the situation, pacified the situation. I understand by then other members of the council municipality turned up at the station. So in order to get things done orderly, he made some recommendations, ensured that the process went through, and she was charged and offered bail. And the matter was resolved, said Lindsay. Douglas is to appear in the Halfway Tree Court on May 6, 2020. So the Commissioner of Police is distancing himself from talks that he intervened in police officers trying to arrest Kari Douglas. And those of you who remember, Kari Douglas recently switched from PNP to JLP, and that was in the public debate. So there are some persons wondering, could the motives of the police officers be political? Some saying, nah. Kari Douglas was disrespectful. Kari Douglas is saying, no, I did no such thing. And in fact, she has now retained the services of Queen's Counsel Peter Champagny to defend her in court. All right. So Trafalgar Councillor Kari Douglas, who recently switched allegiance from the PNP to the JLP, has retained the services of attorney Peter Champagny QC as she moves to clear her name of allegations that she breached a curfew order under the Disaster Risk Management Act and behaved disorderly in the process. Champagny confirmed the move and said he is committed to having the issue ventilated in court when the case is called up in early May. Police personnel reported that on Tuesday night of this week, Douglas was stopped, and we won't go back through because we went through all of that already. All right, well, we're also hearing that the Police Federation is coming out in defense of the officers who were the arresting officer and the team that arrested Kari Douglas and said that she was behaving boisterous. So this is going to be a war of the truths. Something doesn't seem right here. Well, obviously somebody has to lie. Somebody has to be telling a lie. Douglas is saying that she was on her way home. I gather that it was probably after 9, could have been later, not, I don't have the exact time, but it was definitely after the 8 o'clock curfew cutoff point. Douglas, as a councillor of the Kingston and St. Andrew Municipal Corporation, would have fallen into the era of persons who are exempt, and that is if you were actually carrying out your duties. So she is saying that she was on her way from the division. She was carrying out official duty. The issue, as you would have picked up by now, is that she didn't have a proper identification card. I gather she presented a driver's license, but the police officers, they wanted proof that she was a councillor because they say they didn't know her, right? They asked her to drive in front of them to the police station. That's her story. She said she went down there. She cooperated to the end, and she called SSP Steve McGregor and some other councillors, the mayor and some other councillors, could have been one or two JLP councillors, came down to her assistance, and she's saying that she conducted properly, and she's saying that she recalls, if I recall properly, that somebody was recording the ordeal at the police station, and she has challenged the officers to release the video recording to prove that she was acting boisterous, because she's saying that she didn't. And the police officers basically did not yield to SSP McGregor, who is a big man, as some Jamaicans would say it, in the JCF. And he came there, and it would have, person would have believed that based on the fact that McGregor came, junior officers would have probably yielded to him. Well, that was not the case. It was not going to be. The officers were not letting up. And it begs the question, why would these officers really stand out like this, even after one of their colleagues came and intervened and tried to pacify? Why would they, behave like that? And there are persons who make the point that the police officers aren't lying. And then there's the other side that says Kari Douglas isn't lying. So it is going to be a matter of, who's telling the truth. But obviously somebody is telling a lie here. But it doesn't smell good. It doesn't look good. We are trying to fight a pandemic. And in the middle of all of this, we have a spat because all these persons are government officials, and we should be working to one objective. And at this time, we really don't want a split in the force where persons believe that some persons are above the law and some officers can intervene. And of course, the Police Federation is definitely upset, and they are not mincing words. They are defending the arresting officers, and they are saying Douglas was the one who was the antagonizer. So that's one of the cases that we are watching, as I said. And as I said before, Douglas has retained the services of Queen's Counsel Peter Champagne. So we'll watch and see how that goes. All right, keep it locked. This is BOJ TV. I'm Current Spencer. Do remember to subscribe and hit the notification button so you can be notified when we post.